Hello, everyone. This is Don with Overedge Props, and I'm here to bring you one of two renders that got first place on my most recent Twitter poll. Since this one got the first initial vote, this is the one I chose to do. This is the Sword of Promised Victory, also known as Excalibur. This sword in particular is from my favorite franchise of all time, which is the Fate franchise, which was originally a visual novel. It has a couple of animes, a couple of movies, and it has a bunch of spin off material and a bunch of video games. It's pretty much a video game for every type of player out there. You got gotcha games, you got dungeon crawlers, you got Dynasty Warrior style games. There's just all kinds. Now, I'm putting out a spoiler alert right now. So if you don't want to be spoiled, and if you can't discern who the sword belongs to, please just mute the video or skip ahead in about a minute or so, because I'm about to reveal some stuff that shouldn't be revealed until you've watched the show. So you've been warned. The sword is wielded by Fate Stay Night's Saber class servant Artoria Pendragon. Not Arturia, not Arthuria, not whatever other weird pronunciation is out there. Artoria Pendragon. And now that that part of it is out of the way, this is the strongest holy sword in the franchise and is only rivaled by the demonic sword Graham, according to Fate Stay Night's lore. And it is considered an A++ anti-fortress type noble phantasm at full power, and it amplifies the user's magical energy and releases it with a destructive force. That means that it can probably level most, if not all, of a city, and definitely whatever army that you think you can bring in front of it and win, because trust me, you are not going to. But because of that, this drains Saber's magical energy, leaving her exhausted if her master cannot supply sufficient mana. I'm looking at you, Shiro. And given its distinctive look, Saber often shrouds the sword in invisible air to hide not only the sword, but also her true identity. Because in the Holy Grail War, if your identity is revealed, so are weaknesses, and those can be used against you to take you and your master not only out of the Holy Grail War, but out of life itself. And due to that, Saber tends to only use Excalibur as a last resort. Actually, that's why most people, or most servants, only use their Noble Phantasm as a last resort, because it's guaranteed to give away their identity. Now, I actually did this model in a couple of hours late at night ahead of time, because my brother was coming into town and I wanted to spend some time with him, because I haven't seen him in a while. But I used 4 different Excalibur references while I was modeling and sketching. And I also used references from actual two-handed swords because I wanted to get the correct look of the handle. I wanted it to be a little more oval than completely round. Now, you might be wondering, Don, Excalibur Morgan's was completely round. Why would this one be different? And my reasoning for that is Excalibur Morgan, at least in most of the games that I see Saber Alter wielding it, she's wielding it with one hand. So it would make sense for it to be more rounded. Saber, on the other hand, tends to use both of her hands. And with her big gauntlets and everything, and given how two-handed swords were in the past, they were a little more oval to accommodate for that. So that's why I went with a more oval look. Now, I did the sketch from scratch versus using my Excalibur Morgan sketch because there are some subtle differences as far as details go. And also, if I want to build this in the future, which I definitely do, I can use this sketch as a template for that. My workflow, I just kind of did whatever felt comfortable, which was just a mix of different techniques that I've done in the past, which was I did half the sketch, pulled it, did all the detail work for it, mirrored that, made sure everything looked all right, and then mirrored it again to the other side to get a complete model. And I worked essentially from the blade, the detail pieces on the blade, to the hilt, to the handle. And that was my general workflow for it. And to do the blade edges, I used the draft tool again, and I'm starting to like that a lot more than the chamfer, just because I'm able to get the bevels that I want without having to sacrifice like distance between the flat part and the bevel. Something like the chamfer will only go so far. Draft, it'll pretty much go as far as it'll allow. And it's also not as temperamental as the chamfer tool, at least most of the time. I would say that the most difficult part of this was the fairy lettering that's on the blade face itself. And the reason for that was most of the reference pictures that I found either just straight up didn't have it, or it was super blurry, so I couldn't get like the fine details of the lettering. Even this one was a little bit more blurry, but it was the clearest one I could find. And because of not being able to find really clear reference pictures, I actually had to restart this render before I recorded this one. I had actually gotten a good portion of the work done, but when I got to the lettering portion of it, I realized that it was really, really, really pixelated and was unsalvageable, so I ended up scrapping that whole thing and then going back to square one. But this model was actually pretty simple for me to do, and that's mainly because I've not only modeled, but I've also built Excalibur Morgan as a physical prop, so I kind of knew how it was supposed to look. And that always makes things easier when you have prior experience with a particular shape, I guess you can call it. The paints that I used in Fusion were mirror, metallic silver, metallic flake silver, metallic flake blue, blue leather, and polished gold. The reason why I went with more like metallic and metallic flakes and polished looks is this is a holy sword. It's supposed to look expensive, I guess, but also very flashy when you see it. Like, it's supposed to be distinctive. So I wanted it to really stand out, and I didn't want to just use paints. I wanted to use more like metal look, and I think that Fusion kind of captured that pretty well. You do lose a little bit of details when you're looking at it from a flat plane, but once you angle it a little bit and then you see like the fairy lettering and you see the little details that are in the hilt and stuff as well. So I'm really, really happy with how it turned out. This has been something that I've wanted to render for a while, as well as build. So I'm most likely going to be building this along with Excalibur Morgan in the future. And I was really happy I was finally able to render this. I do actually want to render it Avalon, which is its sheath, because I think that would look really, really cool next to it. The next render will be my favorite weapons from the Fate franchise, and those of you that know me know exactly which weapons are coming next. If not, hop over my Twitter and look on the poll. If not, just wait till the next render. And I have 3 more renders coming after that, and then after that I will most likely be doing another Twitter poll, so that way you guys can actually give me some suggestions and stuff, because I would love to, do some stuff that other people like and not just what I like. And just as a fair warning, there may be a slight pause in renders. My brother and I are going to be swapping rooms, so I got to move a bunch of stuff out there and also run some wiring and stuff, but hopefully it won't be too big of a pause, if any at all. But if something changes, I will let you guys know. But please give this video a like, comment down below if you got something to say, consider subscribing to the channel, and ring the bell so that way you know when new videos are coming out. Also follow me over on Twitter, so that way you can see work in progress pictures, you can vote in future polls, you can give me suggestions for stuff too, and just see me rant about stuff. But thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next render.